Today I'm testing out the HDR feature of Canon R6. This feature has been around since I think Canon 80D. I found that this mode works better in lower ISO, unlike the log mode where you have to be at 400 ISO to get the maximum dynamic range. So I'm at 100 and f5.0 with the 3-stop ND. One caveat of this feature, and this is probably why no one talks about this feature, is that you have to shoot in 1080p 30 frames per second. It has to be 30, not 60, not 24. And I think it's because what this is essentially doing in camera is it's like a photo HDR, meaning it's shooting in 60 FPS, but it's merging those two images by shooting one under and one over and just grabbing the bright parts of the image, combining them into one. So it's essentially shooting 60 FPS and making them into 30. This is exactly like what iPhone's doing. Like they call it computational photography or videography, but it's basically software-based HDR. It's different from shooting log and color grading. But I think this has a time and place for use, and I think it's when you don't have access to editing software like Premiere or Final Cut, and you don't want to be color grading. And for comparison, I'll shoot the same thing in Canon log, just so you can see, the sky and the dynamic range as I pan around. And this is shooting at Canon log, 1080p, 30 FPS. I have 6-stop ND and ISO 400. Now I'm shooting at auto ISO in HDR mode. There's one annoying thing about this HDR mode, and that's after you shoot one footage and you turn off the camera for some reason, and when you turn it back on, the HDR mode is now disabled. So you have to remember to turn it back on every time you turn on and off the camera. I find that really annoying. Maybe there's like a custom setting that you can enable to disable this feature so that it's constantly on. So I realized I didn't do a non-HDR mode comparison. So here's the non-HDR. I'm shooting at auto ISO using faithful profile. It's a bright sunny day outside. Auto ISO f5.0. And I'll show you the HDR version next. And this is HDR, same setting as before.